we started small in terms of automation, and what you see when you visit us now is the result of lots of iterations and lots of learning. Um, so the advice would be to find something simple to do, and get some success doing that, because the complexity can come after that. But the complexity can only be achieved once you've got your sort of if you've made some small steps into improving. The important thing is to start with a clear goal in mind. What are you trying to achieve, and beware of complications to that simple ambition, if you like.
Welcome back to Made to Grow, the podcast custom made for SME manufacturers, brought to you by Flowlens Cloud Manufacturing Software. This month we're welcoming Rob White, Director of Excellence at gas sensor manufacturer DD Scientific, to the show. DD Scientific manufactures safety-critical gas sensors, and their customers need to know that even their newest innovation will be reliable and dependable. We've worked with Rob and the team at DD Scientific since 2020, and it's been great to see the business evolve and to play a part in their incredible growth story. With DD Scientific now manufacturing and shipping over 4 million sensors to customers worldwide, their trajectory is certainly something many leaders in the device manufacturing sector could learn from. When I spotted that Rob had recently been appointed to the role of Director of Excellence, I was curious to know what the title really meant and what a culture of improvement and innovation really looks like. So, in this episode, Rob shares his practical insights into fostering a culture of excellence and how this motivates improvements from across his team. We also discuss how proper use of data and automation have helped them remain reactive to their customers' needs and competitive in the market. And with that, let's jump right in. So I'm delighted to welcome Rob White, Director of Business Excellence at DD Scientific, to the Made to Grow podcast. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be invited on. Thank you.
Pleasure. Um, would you mind just giving the listeners a bit of an overview of your role at the business and what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Okay, so I probably should start by explaining what we do. So I work for DD Scientific. I'm, as you say, the Director of Excellence at DD Scientific. And DD Scientific manufacture a wide range of electrochemical gas sensors. So these gas sensors measure potentially dangerous gases, like toxic gases, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfides, and also oxygen. So not just toxic gases, but gases that we need to breathe, like oxygen. If that becomes depleted, it could be dangerous. So we make sensors which, as I say, electrochemically measure the concentration of potentially dangerous gases and create an electrical signal. And that electrical signal can be interpreted by our customers when they build gas detectors around our products. And those gas detectors are used all around the world. So they may be industrial applications. So if you're working in a coal mine or a steelworks or underground, then you might be challenged by dangerous conditions. You need some means of knowing that you're unsafe. So our products help our customers warn their users that there's a potentially dangerous situation. So that's about 65% of what we do, but we also work in the residential space. So domestic carbon monoxide monitors, we make sensors for those types of devices. We work in the medical arena, so we have sensors for ventilators measuring oxygen concentration, the oxygen that's been given to patients. And we also work in the air quality space and environmental monitoring. So that's what DD Scientific do. We've been going since 2011. And my role within the business has just changed in the last few months. So I joined in 2015 as a sales manager, eventually moving to sales director. And I've been sales director at the company for about 7 years in total. And then, as I said more recently, I've shifted the role to this newly created title, Director of Excellence. And my role now is really business improvement, looking at all of the processes within the business, whatever we do, looking to find ways to improve. So that's what I do in a nutshell. That's what my daily drive is, to is to aim towards excellence in everything we do.
So you jump out of bed in the morning, get your cornflakes, and in search of excellence.
Um, yes, I think what I would say what gets me out of bed in the morning really is what gets all of our team out of bed is the pride in what we do. So, you know, probably 85% of our products are used in safety critical environments. So, our sensors daily are protecting hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And I think every one of us here takes pride in the fact that, you know, someone's life could depend on our product.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there's no room for error.
No, no. And our customers are in that, they're in the same boat. They're wholly focused on making sure that workers, go home at night to their families safe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, not many SMEs have a director of excellence. So it is a statement, and but it's a very pragmatic and hands-on role. It's not some highfalutin ivory tower kind of role by the sounds of things. You're rolling your sleeves up and getting your hands dirty. So what does empowering excellence look like in the day-to-day operations of the business?
Well, I think we have to start with a definition of what we mean by excellence, and that really drives the activity towards it. So for me, excellence commercially means that our customers would be crazy not to buy from us. So they would have no reason not to buy from us because our quality is best in class. Our delivery performance is best in class. Our cost is best in class. Our support is best in class. So that ultimately that's what drives the business commercially, and culturally that's communicated throughout the business. I sort of made the point about the life critical aspect of our business, and I think if you asked anyone in our factory, that would be something that drives what they do on a daily basis. So there's effectively, there's already a tailwind towards excellence because people realise that what we do is important, and so with that as a good starting point, really it's just polishing what we have, looking at ways to improve in every way. So shortening lead times, ensuring that the quality of our product is peerless, from an internal perspective, because obviously, yields of products is important. It drives the cost of the business. So any improvements that we can make to improve the yield of the business, the yield of our products makes us more profitable, but also the customer experience. So when they unwrap a sensor from us, does it do what it's supposed to do out of the box, and does it also perform throughout the life of the specified life of the product? So that's really those are the sort of the areas that we focus on in terms of the quality aspect. But excellence runs through any aspect of the business can aspire to excellence. It's it is a bit of a platonic ideal, excellence, because it's almost unattainable, but it doesn't mean that we should stop trying. And I feel if anyone within the business has that kind of in their DNA, and we look for that when we're looking for bringing new people in, is do they have that drive to improve? Do they have that do they have that drive to make things better?
Funny, that was going to be my next question. About that cultural fit. How do you how do you try and pre-qualify a candidate that they have that that mindset that you're looking for, and once they're in the fold, how do you validate that, and maybe how do you deal with situations where somebody isn't a good fit?
So in terms of bringing people into the business, it is relatively straightforward during an interview to identify candidates that are able to demonstrate that in the past, that they've come across a problem, or they've come across a potential improvement that they can make, and they've seen it through. So I think you can find those people quite easily during the interview process. Once we've brought them into the fold, then really, hopefully they're absorbed into the cultural or the cultural drive to improvement. So, I mean, that's driven from the very top of the business. So the MD, Daniel Davies, it's consistently pushing all of us to improve, and that flows down, but it also flows up as well. So I'd like to think that our production team are empowered, that if they see an opportunity, if they see a way of making things better, however small, then they are empowered to bring that to the sort of the various different levels of management that we have here. We don't have a massive levels of management, are fairly flat, so there is an easy route for good ideas to get to the right people and get driven forwards.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think one of the key tenets of lean manufacturing, and particularly around Kaizen, is the consistency of identifying improvements, following them through, and then celebrating the wins, but also having them come from the Gemba, where the work happens, because again, not that sounds like anyone's up in any ivory towers or executive suites in DD Scientific. But you're not going to spot the problems that the person doing the task is going to. So having that shop floor centric approach. And do you operate? Is there a regular kind of cadence to how you tackle improvements? I mean, presumably you get a lot of ideas. How do you decide which ones are worth trying out?
So in terms of the process for evaluating ideas, so that predominantly falls to the quality team. So these ideas will get fed typically through production huddles, but there are the huddles in the business that can sort of unearth these ideas, and they will effectively be put onto a project deck and prioritized based on what is the potential benefit for improving it, and how easy is it to do. So we effectively have a rail or rolling action item list which is driving all of these projects, and that rail gets reviewed. So we have a daily quality huddle, and each day we tackle a different topic, whether it's non-conformance, whether it's engineering change, but we also have a day when we look at process improvement, and that so the regular review of that project list keeps that process going.
Mm-hmm. In terms of then acknowledging success, how do you do that? How do you celebrate the wins?
And that typically is done just by congratulating the person that's come up with the idea and perhaps driven it through to conclusion. And we also have a reward scheme, so we do offer vouchers and such forth to recognise great ideas, even if they're not taken up. We still try to reward people for thinking of them.
The Made to Grow podcast is brought to you by Flowlens, the simple, affordable MRP system specifically designed for SME device, equipment and machinery manufacturers. Our top-rated cloud-based software can help you cut down on wasted materials, time and money, and eliminate the chaos of running your manufacturing with spreadsheets and hope. Our customers have reported savings of over a day per week per person in their business by cutting out needless admin, duplication of work and countless mistakes. Plus, lead times are shortened by up to 75%. And after hundreds of successful implementations, we've got the blueprint for manufacturing success nailed down. Head over to flowlens.com for a quick video tour of the software and to hear from more manufacturers like you who have transformed their businesses with Flowlens. Now, back to the interview. Cool, because there's nothing like putting your hand up and getting ignored. several times. Um, you know, so the surest way to kill off engagement is to not acknowledge at least the effort or the idea or the input.
Yeah, and I think the feedback is important because we can't do everything that is suggested to us. A relatively small organisation, we can't do everything, and we can't do it, everything at the same time. But I think it is important that when someone does come to us and say, "I think we could do this better," that even if we don't do it or we don't get around to do it, then that is still recognised. Because, as you say, they won't do it again.
Yeah, yeah. So I've had the pleasure of visiting DD Scientific a couple of times. Full disclosure, should let listeners know that DD Scientific have been Flowlens customers for the last 3 or 4 years at this stage. And as I say, coming to visit the factory is always exciting, not just to get to hang out with you, Rob, and um, uh, I probably should, yeah. But maybe this is also sad, but the robots and the automation that you guys have put into place is also fascinating. So you're competing against potentially uh, competitors in lower cost uh, environments, but you're competing and you're winning. So you're using technology in a smart way to kind of assist humans to do what they're good at. To exploit your IP, but you're using that to gain efficiencies. So, what sort of advice would you give someone who is thinking about any kind of automation or robotics? Where should they start?
Okay, I mean, I'm by no means an expert in automation, but I am, surrounded by people here that are. So I think, if you were to ask our operations director, Alan Rex, that question, what he would say is start with something simple, um, because that will give you the best opportunity to succeed. So, pick the reason why you're implementing automation, and that it basically comes down to sort of three simple reasons. One could be to improve the safety of a process, make it safer for your people, to improve quality, or reduce variation. So somehow make the product better, or it could be because of productivity. So that isn't just cost. That is volume manufacture capabilities. Being able to make more products to the same or better quality, with the same resources effectively. So we started small in terms of automation, and what you see when you visit us now is the result of lots of iterations and lots of learning. Um, so the advice would be to find something simple to do, and get some success doing that, because the complexity can come after that. But the complexity can only be achieved once you've got your sort of, if you've made some small steps into improving.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of skill sets would you advise on acquiring, or again, if a smaller company maybe needs to gain some validation before they can invest? So what sort of skill set, even on a consulting basis, would you recommend for somebody who has the idea but they don't know how to implement it?
Well, I think there are, if we're talking specifically about robotics and automation, there are lots of companies that can advise you on that. But I think the important thing is to start with a clear goal in mind. What are you trying to achieve, and beware of complications to that simple ambition, if you like. As I say, I'm not an expert in automation, but I know certainly early on in the business we leaned heavily on partners to develop the automation for us, and then as we've grown in the more recent years, then we've been able to bring that capability in house. So we have capable robot programmers. We have very capable mechanical engineers to assemble the robotics. So, we've benefited from starting, starting with external advice, but gradually becoming more and more
Expert.
in those areas.
Cool. Moving on then to data. So, as we're well aware, data plays a big role in your success and your exploitation of the data. Can you tell us a bit about the journey that you took to sort of become more data literate, and what have the benefits been for that?
Well, I mean, I've always been a data passionate person. So even even in sales roles, my favourite tool by a long way was Excel. Um, uh, and what we
Who needs to get out more now?
well, yeah, absolutely. So what I what we've discovered as we've grown is that the company generates an enormous amount of data. Um, for example, when we're testing nearly 4 million gas sensors per year, so every single product, we record a number of different performance characteristics for that product, and that data tells us a lot if we're able to analyze it. So we can spot, given the right tools, we can spot trends. So we can see changes in product over time. They may be good changes, but if there are bad, if we're trending towards an unacceptable level of something, then you will only find that by analysing the data. So where I started was with our test data, and getting it into a format that we could quickly get to problems. So, for example, on a daily basis, our system will generate a list of product yields by day. So the senior management, the quality team, various people within the business get an email from our system at 7 o'clock in the morning that says this was what was tested yesterday. That it could be 30 or 40 different products, but this is the yield that you achieved for each of those products. And if it's above 95, 96, 97%, then we don't need to worry about it. That's what we would expect. But if it doesn't reach that level, then that's not acceptable, and we need to find the reason why. And so, just having that simple process of having the data analysed very quickly allows us to move very fast, to to fix problems, and that really sort of led us to looking at other areas where we generate data in the business. And obviously, as you said, we're a very happy and loyal Flowlens customer, and Flowlens generates a lot of information for us. So all of our commercial information, sales orders, and customer returns, that sort of thing is in Flowlens. So we have that data effectively at our fingertips in Flowlens, but sometimes I want, there's a need for us to stitch that data with, for example, our test data. So, we can quite easily, pulling data from Flowlens, we can look at what products we ship to which customer. And because we've scanned the serial number of every product before we shipped it to the customer, and because we've got test data for every product that we make, by bringing that all together, then we can generate test reports on the fly for our customers, and that adds significant value to our customers. And then talking about data, that many of our processes, many of our automated processes, are generating data. So one of the processes we do a lot is ultrasonic welding. So we've got these automatic ultrasonic welders. They record about 50 different parameters every time they weld a product. So you can imagine we're doing that 4 million times a year. That's an enormous amount of data. But being able to analyze that quickly, again, allows us to find problems. And that's just one of the many examples of processes that generate data in our business. So your question was really, I think, about how are we going about bringing that all together. So that's been my role probably for the last year, is finding a methodology to take the data from various different sources, bring it to one central point, and then create dashboards. So we're not there Yeah, but we have some very powerful dashboards that allow the management to see it instantly, whenever they need to. Um, how is the business performing? How is drawing the sales data? How are we doing from a sales perspective? How are we doing from a quality perspective? How many products are coming back? What are the reasons they're coming back? Um, I should say we don't fortunately get many products back, so that's not a dashboard that we have to worry about too much. But you know, how is the things like statistical process control on our processes? So is anything going out of whack? Is there a potential problem? Um, so yeah, all of that we're trying to bring together in one sort of unified system, uh, which draws, as I say, from various different other sources of data.
And in terms of, so you mentioned about, management having access to that information, have you thought about how you're going to bring it down into the factory? And, is there a way to look at what's happening right now as opposed to, what happened yesterday is great and you can try and look for the root cause of the problem that maybe gave you an 80% yield rather than the 95% yield. But the problem has already happened and the batch has already been completed. Is that part of the journey?
I mean, that's definitely part of the journey. So, talking specifically about tests and what test yields. Um, so, every time a test is performed where a yield is below 95%, our systems generate an email to the relevant people within the business. So that's the ops manager, that's the test team leader, that's the quality team to say, well, hang on a sec, you tested 240 sensors here and the yield was 80%. So, it isn't just the sort of, the day before or last Friday's data that's being sent quickly to the right people. It is instantaneous.
Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, is that kind of innovation that saves you a fortune potentially if there's been some material that has gone in or some maybe a machine that's out of calibration or something like that where these problems can be dealt with halfway through or rather than when it's too late.
Yeah, so there's a sort of quality aspect, but there's also the customer service aspect as well. So using Flowlens, we run monitors on sales orders as they go on the system. So if an error is made, so for example, we put the wrong, we typically know what products our customers are going to order. So occasionally we can enter the wrong part number for a customer, but we now have live tracking on that. So if one of the sales administrators, or sometimes it's me, sometimes I put sales orders on. If I go to a customer and try and create a sales order for the wrong product, then within 5 minutes we get an email to say you should probably check this because that doesn't appear to be an accepted product for that
Brilliant.
customer.
Simple but really effective. I could see.
It is. I mean, it isn't something that happened a lot, but it is something that we've been able to eliminate.
Yeah, yeah. This is it. Take the drama out of the situation. Yeah, or the potential for drama in that case.
Well, all of the information is there, and it is actually relatively simple to have these monitors running. Um, so yeah, we should make use of it.
Cool. Well, this might preempt my next question, just as we draw to the close. But what's the one piece of advice that you would give other people inspired by your journey to Director of Excellence?
I don't know that I've got one single piece of advice. I think the key to any improvement in the business is communication. So is setting out right from the very beginning what you're trying to achieve and make sure people understand that. And then once that message is received, it's to drive it. It's to you know continually have the conversation. Where are we on this? Just keep that focus, because in my experience, that really is the only way to make any kind of change.
Brilliant. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Um, well, Well, Rob, I really appreciate you coming and giving your time. There's a lot there to inspire people for various different angles, which is good. Um, if anyone wanted to get in touch, what's the best way to find you?
So, I mean, our telephone number is on our website, which is www.ddscientific.com, or they can by all means contact me by email, which is rwhite@ddscientific.com.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks very much. Once again, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to coming over and hanging out with you in the robots soon.
Yep, I look forward to receiving you soon too. Thank you.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
That was a great way to round off Season 2 of Made to Grow, and thanks again to Rob for taking the time to share these insights. Appointing a Director of Excellence is a real statement of intent for the business, and I hope this episode has provided some inspiration for you. This is no ivory tower role, and as Rob said, it's about starting small, identifying achievable wins, and building a culture of openness and improvement that rewards success and propels the business forward. We'll be back in 2025 with more insights from the world of SME manufacturing. If you'd like to suggest a guest, please email madetogrow@flowlens.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. As ever, if this is your first time listening, please hit the subscribe button for more inspiring content. Till next time.